Go.
Coaching tip of the week. So, what we're going to begin to expand upon is that universally in every culture, there's a distinction that lying is wrong, right? That one should not lie, one should not live the lie. Begets this fascinating inquiry. Well, why is that? Why is there such a sort of pushback against lying? Why is it so important to tell the truth? Okay. So, I'm going to make a little bit of a inquiry question. Why is it important to tell the truth? Well, because the truth allows us to deal with reality as it is. The lie is a distortion of reality. Now, what's wrong with distorting reality? Probably nothing. It just takes many resources to deal with a falsehood instead of the truth. So sometimes we'll have clients who say something like this: everybody's got to see me, or nobody wants to see me, or perhaps you've gotten to an argument with your spouse of the always and never. You always do this, or you never do that. So anytime those words are uttered, always and never, that is a lie, right? Because it can never be always, and literally it can never be never, if you will. But when we say those things like always, it begins to create a distortion. Okay, it's a distortion of reality, and it's when that reality begins to distort, things can get weird. Because as our stress level increases, our intelligence level goes down. Stress and intelligence are inversely related. There's nothing wrong with being dumb. We just have to deal with the consequences of being dumb. So little cues, right? Always and never. So we have clients saying always and never, or these big superlatives, nobody wants to see me, or everybody's trying to get to see me. Those are all stressors. Okay. And anytime those stressors arise, intellect begins to go down. And once again, there's nothing wrong with doing dumb things. We just have to deal with the consequences of doing dumb things. Make sense? Because I had a client just putting a lot of pressure on himself that said, man, I gotta see all of my clients, or all of my clients want to see me. And he was operating from this place that everybody has to get to see me right now. And I said, is that true? Right? All of your clients need to see you right now. And he sort of reflected on that in a moment. And he said, no, that they don't. And it was amazing. As soon as we sort of expressed that, as soon as the truth came out, you could feel a deflation in the stress level. It wasn't everybody who had to see them. I was like, well, how many people actually are calling and saying they need to see you now? And he was like 3 or 4. So he had a self-imposed pressure on himself that was creating an unnecessary level of stress. Then he was taking that on his assistant, and it was making the whole business less fun, if you will. Okay, does that make sense? Comments, questions, epiphanies?
What came to mind for me with that too is when we're, get in the mode of fighting fire drills and firefights all day long, that those kind of things start to come into place, right? I gotta do all those things, or I gotta get all this stuff done, or like you get into that mode of needing to get a whole lot of stuff done, or you start making stuff up that you have to get it all, or you can't just get part of it, you got to do it all, or whatever it might be. So I just feel like that person that's in that fire drill mode would fall into this always and never.
Right. Or everything has to be done off the list, right?
Yeah.
That there's this conversation of overwhelm with work. One of the distinctions with work is that it's an immortal and it never goes away. So no matter how much work you do, you will do more work. Like, think about it's almost like the Midas touch. Anything that you touch will turn to gold. So the list will never go away. So sometimes people operate there, they feel like they're always behind the 8 ball, that they can never get ahead of the work. Well, let's tell the truth. That is true. You can never get ahead of all the work because the work's an immortal. There will always be more work to do. So it's in dealing with that particular reality that we can say to ourselves, all right, I will never get all of the work done, but what is the most important work for me to do? Like, what is that singularity concept? And sometimes, or most of the time, that will take a level of stress off ourselves so that we can deal with reality as it is instead of what we pretend it to be. Sense?
Yep.
Comments, questions?
I would also say it's a paradigm. It's like when we talk to clients and we say, hey, I have to be in the office 9 to 5. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. And is that true? And of course it is.
Like I should
Yeah, I
be in the
should see
office.
my clients. They
It's
need
always
to
the way
see.
we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once again, reality, if you cut to reality, do you need to be in the office from 9 to 5? No, you can be in the office from 6 to 6, that doesn't really matter. The distinction is how are you using this language, and are you using it to support you, right? To your vision of what you want to create, or are you using it as a club, if you will, to beat yourself up with? Rob, any words of insight?
No, I agree. Yeah, what with what you're saying, and to John's point, I mean, being in the office, I mean, it may make you feel good. Is that the most constructive place to be? Where you're running with people you ought to be running with, and talking to the right people, but you kind of you're there because you're waiting on that next phone call, or you're waiting because that's the way it's always been, or the way you think it should be. So you have to kind of break out of that reality.
Yeah.
Or break the mold, I would say. Try something different.
Remember the danger words: always and never.
Yeah.
One thought I had on that too, though, Ken, was it's all when I find myself like with the always and the never and the everybody or feels or seems, it's also a chance to like reframe. Like if you can catch yourself, you reframe it as like, hey, given what's going on, this is an awesome opportunity to call my top clients and share, our philosophy on volatility, or it's a chance just to reframe. Hey, instead of going to a place of stress, go on the offense and go back. Hey, these are the top 5 clients that I should reach out to, and share our core philosophy on investing and their financial plan.
Good. And Pete, why'd you limit it to just 5?
Well, kind of going back to the whole champion process, if you go to the typical 80-20 and then the 80-20 of the 20, most of our growth and business comes from typically 5 or 6 clients. So if we're zeroing in on those those key moments, yes, do we want to talk to all of our clients over time in a way that we want? Yes. But the key communications with 5 or 6 of our top clients is going to massively move the needle on our business.
Beautiful. Right. And notice the difference. Notice the difference in the way of being. I need to call all of my clients. If you have 250 clients, 300 clients, you have market volatility, and you start calling, more than likely the first person you call, if you're not mindful, is going to be the squeakiest wheel. You're like, man, I got to get in front. I got to call Miss McGillicuddy first, because Miss McGillicuddy is going to be on the ledge. And Miss McGillicuddy may be your 150th client in regards to assets or income, but yet you talk to her first. Now, in talking to her first, that takes a lot of energy. It's also very stressful. You're going to absorb all that fear. So you may decide to skip your top 10 or top 20 relationships because they're good, right? They don't scream. They're not on the ledge. But if you notice what Pete said, if you focus on what's important, it's a relatively small portion of the business, and you handle that first, it makes everything else that much easier. It also makes everything else that less stressful. And I think that's the big idea of where you give your attention, you're going to get more of. And are you investing your attention where you have the greatest probability of return? And as Pete said, that greatest probability of return is in a relatively small number. Like literally, have you identified those top 5, those top 6, 8? Please don't go any more than 12, right? Because once you get above 12, everything gets a little bit more sticky, if you will.
Yeah, I think I agree with what you said too. It's like you're probably going to call the first person who emailed you last about whatever, or texted you. Like, yeah, that's where you start. And it's like, that's by default. That's not your design.
Yep.
That's a great distinction.
Yep.
Remember, attention goes to what's loudest, right? It's normal. Attention is drawn to whatever's loudest, whatever's brightest, whatever sexiest. But that's not necessarily what is most productive. So as Pete was saying, by design, like who is it by design that are getting your high quality attention? And if you play the game that way, it's just a lot more effective and a lot more stressful. And you're dealing with the truth instead of the distortion, right? And part of the truth is not all of your clients are equal. Some are more equal than others. And then again, what you give attention to, you get more of. And if you give your attention to the more equal than other clients, guess what happens? You get bigger results because they're not equal.
You know, something I would add too on especially at times of like a stressor, like an outside stressor or whatever it is, volatility, geopolitical events, politics, you know, interest rates, taxes, whatever. I would have a true, like a very close at hand recording or written down of what is your belief. I mean, we had a little taste of volatility, which we haven't had in the last, you know, whatever year maybe. And it's like, okay, what is your advisor philosophy belief on volatility? Like, what is it? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it useful? Is it, you know, and so you want to have that ready to rock and roll. Like, so the world isn't telling you what to believe about volatility. Like you have a useful belief of what volatility is, and you can clearly communicate it to your clients.
Beautiful. What's yours, Pete?
It's an opportunity to take advantage of buying the greatest companies in the world at a better price. So the more volatile, the better. And the more volatility we have, we get a premium on our returns. Less volatile, lower returns. Higher volatility, higher returns.
Well, it's like I really like what Pete said before we kind of started the call when we were waiting. You know, it's normal. It's completely normal, and it happens at least once a year. And what'd you say, Pete? Would you get mad if your dog barked?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, the stat I've been sharing with a lot of clients this week, it's like over the course of a year, any given year, normal year, average year, the S&P 500 goes down 14% on average for no reason once a year. That's a normal occurrence. And if we get excited or worried or stressed about that, that's literally like getting angry at our dog if it barks at us once a day or once a week.
Nice analogy. Don't get mad at the dog. The dog barks. That's what dogs do.
Right. And
right.
Dog gives you a whole lifetime of comfort and love, just like the stock market.
Wow, a whole lifetime of comfort and love. Like, wow.
Right?
And it's always happy to see you, much like the stock market.
Very high. I love to share it. I got in the industry and the Dow Jones was like 3,200 and now it's whatever, 38, 39, 40,000 depending. So if you lost money during that time frame, that was not the stock market. That was you.
Mm. Whoa, nice one. Nice one. That was not the stock market. That was you. Yeah. Being responsible for all of your outcomes. Beautiful.